everyone, this is Nikita and welcome to GST Learning Hub. This video specifically will cover the new return trial version that has been introduced by the government for all of us to try. Of course, GST ANX-1 and GST ANX-2 were already available, and now GST RET1 is also being made available. So I will go through the entire return along with you guys. So let's begin.
So very recently, the government has made the trial version of the new return available on the GST portal. So we'll just go through how the new return will look like and how do we actually go ahead and file these returns. So as soon as you log into the portal, on the dashboard, you can see the new return trial that is available. We'll click on the new return trial. Now, as you know, ANX-1 and ANX-2 were already available on the portal, and very recently, the government has also introduced the trial version of GST RET-01. So today we'll be going through the trial version of RET-01, but before that, I'll just give you a quick gist of how you're going to file GST ANX-1 and GST ANX-2. So first, if you go through ANX-1, I have already uploaded a JSON file. Now I created the JSON file using a tool that is already made available in the trial version. So if you go to offline tools for new return trial, you can download the tool, and in the tool, just like how you do in case of GSTR1 and GSTR3B, you can upload the CSV or Excel files and generate the JSON file. And on uploading that, you can directly upload the JSON file on the trial version of the portal to see how exactly it works. So in case of GST ANX-1, I have already done that. So let's see how it can be viewed. So exactly how we can view in the current GSTR1, you can view all the recipient GSTIN, the trade or legal name, recipient type, document number, document date, document value, place of supply, differential percentage of tax rate of applicable, whether it's an intrastate or interstate supply, total taxable value, and tax amount. And accordingly, action can be taken. Now, once you've uploaded the details of your outward supplies, you can go ahead and accept, reject, or keep pending the details of your invert supplies. In Annex-2, most of the data that will appear will be that has been already uploaded by your supplier. So if you select B2B, you will see three legends here: accepted, rejected, or kept pending. Based on what action you take at this stage, in GST RET1, it'll either show under credit that has been accepted, credit that has been rejected, or credit that has been kept pending. If any of the credit is rejected or kept pending, it gets added to the outward tax liability of the recipient. So you need to take care before you accept, reject, and keep pending. And once it is rejected or kept pending, it can only be modified by the supplier, and nothing can be done by the recipient unless it's modified by the supplier. As I said, they've also made the trial version of RET1 available. So let's go ahead and see what exactly or how exactly will it look. Now, before I could select which return is applicable to me, a questionnaire had to be filled in. This is how the questionnaire looked like. Was your aggregate turnover during the preceding financial year up to ₹5 crore? If the answer is no, then you have to directly file a monthly return in GST RET1. But if the answer is yes, then you have to answer the second question. Do you intend to file the return on quarterly basis? Again, if the answer is no, you can file a monthly return in form GST RET1. But if the answer is yes, you have to select from amongst Sahaj, Sugam, and quarterly returns. If you're still not sure how you're going to select which return is applicable to you or your client, you can refer to my video that I had made earlier. You can see the link provided above. And once you've answered these questions, this trial version of the return will be made available to you, depending on what the answer is. Also, please note that this is just a trial version and this is not your final reply to the questions. So it's okay, you can try and select different answers in different cases to see how the returns look like. Now, I have selected GST RET1, which is applicable to taxpayers which have turnover above 5 crores. So now, if I look at RET1, it gives me three options: summary of supplies and tax liability. Now, one most important part to note here is that a lot of information here flows from GST ANX-1. So you will not be able to make a lot of changes here. If you see entirely, this is available in grey. So all your B2C, B2B supplies, exports with payment of tax, without payment of tax, supplies to SEZ units or developers with payment or without payment of tax, deemed exports are all in grey and will be filled in GST ANX-1. Now, what can be actually modified here is if you have any liabilities relating to the prior period, that is prior to introduction of the new system. So say if the new system is made available from 1st April 2020. So prior to that, if there were any liabilities that you would want to show, of course, as we know, up to September of the next year, of the year following the financial year. So up to September 2020, we can make certain changes. So if you have to make any changes for the returns that you've already filed between April 2019 to March 2020, if any liabilities are to be added, they can be added here. Liabilities relating to export also have to be shown here separately. But apart from this, in case of outward liabilities, you will not be able to make any other changes. Similarly, if we go to 3B, you will see that table 3B, you'll see that a lot of information is auto-populated from GST ANX-1. Next, details of debit or credit notes issued, advances received, adjusted, and other reduction in liabilities. Now, in GST ANX-1, the details of debit and credit notes have already been given. But if there are any advances, all the advances will be shown in GST RET1 directly. The advances are generally not disclosed in GST ANX-1. So advances and adjustments on account of those advances will be shown in this table here separately. And finally, here you can give information related to exempt and ill-rated supplies, non-GST supplies, outward supplies attracting reverse charge. And that will be your subtotal. Now, if you look at the next form, that is summary of invert supplies for claiming ITC, again, a lot of information will be auto-populated from GST ANX-2. Only there'll be a few rows where you can actually fill in data. So if you look at this, eligible credit not availed prior to introduction of this return but admissible as per law is same. That is, if there's any credit that is admissible between the period April 2019 to March 2020, it can be shown in this row. Similarly, now very recently under Rule 36(4), provisional input tax credit has now been allowed up to 110% of what has been filed by the supplier in your GSTR 2A. So this provisional input tax credit can be shown here in table 4A, point number 10. And if there's any upward adjustment in input tax credit due to receipt of credit notes and all other adjustments and reclaims, they can be made here. Next, if you see details of reversals of credit, you can reverse whatever credit that needs to be reversed on account of Rule 42, 43. If there's any provisional credit on which the supplier has filed the returns in a later tax period, that can also be reversed here. Then supplies which are not eligible for credit can also be shown under this table. And lastly, ITC available net of reversals. Basically, the ITC available net of reversals will be whatever you've shown in 4A minus whatever you've shown in 4B. And this has to be further divided into ITC on capital goods and ITC on services separately. And lastly, you can fill in the interest and late fee liability details. If there is any interest or late fee, that needs to be filled here. Of course, late fee will be auto-populated. If you see here, if at all you're filing late, then in your next month's return, it will be computed by the system and given to you. Now, the summary of all this is available. If you say view summary and you say proceed to file, you can see the summary of the entire form. It will be made available to you of whatever you filled in until now. Of course, now they've clearly mentioned your return can be filed on click of continue button. However, as the payment process is identical to the existing payment process of existing GSTR 3B, the same is not being made available in the trial version. So, wherever utilization and set off is to be done, it will be done exactly as per GSTR 3B, and that is why they've not made it available in the trial version. Hope you understood how the new return trial looks like. If you have any questions, put them down in the comment section down below and I'll be really happy to answer them. My name is Nikita and I'll see you guys in the next one.